Alright, Logan Paul, Dillon Danis confirmed. Now, this was the fight that we thought that was going to happen for a while, right? This was kind of on the rumor board. It was always supposed to be KSI versus Tommy Fury, Logan Paul versus Dillon Danis. Logan was supposed to fight Dillon in the beginning of the year, but it's finally happening, and this fight obviously was built up for a long time. They've had beef since 2019, and Dillon Danis hasn't fought since then, right? The guy is a jiu-jitsu practitioner, a training partner, Conor McGregor. I want to get into all of that, but before I do, I just want to remind you guys to hit the subscribe button, like, comment, and share. If you guys don't know, we're trying to hit 20K by the end of the year, so I'd very much appreciate all the help you guys can give me. And yeah, I want to talk about the matchup, what's going on, when is this going to happen. Now, if you guys don't remember, last week I made a video talking about KSI versus Tommy Fury being confirmed for October 14th for that prime card. Now, this card is supposed to have KSI and Logan Paul. We know now KSI is fighting Tommy Fury as the main event, but the co-main event is going to be Logan Paul. We knew this, but now we have the opponent, Dillon Danis. The important thing about this matchup that's interesting in my opinion is the diehard combat sports fan and, you know, the influencer side of things, they don't really see eye to eye on a lot of things. They usually get into arguments, but if there's one thing that can unite these two communities that are always at odds, it's the fact that they hate Dillon Danis, because Dillon Danis is probably the most hated man in combat sports. Not even in a popular way, but in one of those ways that are just, you know, genuinely annoying. I mean, let's look at his history. The guy hasn't fought since 2019, and granted, that was because of a really brutal knee injury that a lot of people don't really cut him slack for. They criticize him a lot. He did suffer a really bad knee injury, right? But that was 4 years ago. Took some time off, was supposed to fight Jake Paul instead of Ben Askren. Obviously, there is now some rumors coming up where apparently Shane Mosley told Dillon Danis that Jake Paul doesn't want to fight him. Shane Mosley being Jake Paul's former coach, right? But regardless, you know, he kind of took some time off talking shit behind the scenes. COVID happened, blah, blah, blah. KSI is looking for an opponent to box. Was supposed to fight Tyron Woodley, and Logan Paul was supposed to fight on that card and fight Dillon Danis, but Logan Paul had to pull out a few months prior because of an injury he suffered during WWE. And without KSI having an opponent and without Dillon Danis having an opponent, it only made sense to make KSI versus Dillon Danis. Now, this fight was supposed to be for January, but if you guys recall, Dillon Danis pulled out 2 weeks before the fight. FaZe Temper had to step in, and they swore, you know, the Misfits guys swore, they said, hey, we're never working with Dillon Danis again. So I'm not really sure why they're giving Dillon Danis another opportunity. Apparently, he's supposed to get fined 100K, but why? I mean, even with all these problems, why the hell are you going to give him another opportunity? It doesn't really make sense to me. I've been defending Dillon Danis for a while now, but I think, you know, as of recently, it's just, I would say a year ago, I had to come to my senses and say, hey, man, you know, there's no defending this guy. He's just never going to fight. So yeah, no more Dillon defense. And he's going to be fighting Logan Paul. And look, Logan Paul isn't Jake Paul, okay? I know a lot of you guys might get them confused, but they aren't the same guy. Jake Paul's boxing is miles better than Logan, so it does make a little bit of an interesting matchup. But when we're talking size advantage, I mean, Dillon Danis is what? He's 6 foot, usually fights at 170 pounds. Logan Paul is 6'2", much taller guy, probably weighs 200 pounds. I'd say Dillon Danis probably walks around at 185, so I'd probably say that Logan has to cut down, although Dillon Danis could have bulked up throughout these past years because, let's be honest, probably wasn't training as much. And these are two guys that we haven't seen fight in a while, right? Dillon Danis 2019, and that was MMA, right? And he's mostly a grappler, so we didn't really see his striking so much. We saw a little bit. I did actually do a breakdown about his striking a long time ago. I'm gonna put it on the screen. That was for a KSI fight. However, you know, it still kind of stays relevant a little bit when it comes to Logan, so I'll put that on the screen. It was an interesting video I did. Now, this was a very long time ago. I think this was before I had even 100 subscribers, so tune in for that video. I'll put it on the screen and at the end of the video. And Logan Paul, we haven't seen him fight since Floyd Mayweather, which obviously a really good opponent, but that was also a long time ago. That was what, like 2021? So over 2 years ago, we haven't seen the guy box. He's probably improved quite a bit, doing more WWE. And I think most people probably believe that, hey, Logan Paul is going to knock out Dillon Danis. I think this fight is a little interesting though. Look, I heard Wade Plem say this, and I'm going to say I agree. I think Dillon Danis has way more of a chance upsetting the odds than KSI does fighting Tommy Fury. Simply because, look, Dillon has been talking about boxing for a long time, plus the knee injury. I would not be surprised if he did more boxing training, right? Like, if you have a knee injury, what else are you going to train? You can't train grappling, can't train wrestling, can't train kickboxing. Might as well train the boxing. So there is a possibility that this guy has been grinding for the past 3 years and is actually a pretty decent boxer. And in my opinion, I don't think Logan Paul is a very high-level boxer. I tend to believe that Floyd kind of carried him throughout those 8 rounds and tried to make more of a spectacle of it than anything. And plus, even if that's not the case, Logan was mostly clinching. He is the bigger guy, has the wrestling background. It wasn't like this was a technical jab clinch situation. It was mostly Logan getting sloppy, entering in a range, holding on to Floyd Mayweather just to get it 8 rounds. And I'm not saying that to be a big hater or anything, but it's just, you can't pretend that, you know, he put on some sort of boxing masterclass or even put up a decent showing in that fight near the end. And look, I get it. You know, if I were against Floyd Mayweather, I'd probably lose earlier and not make it those 8 rounds, but at the end of the day, it's not right to, you know, act like he's some sort of really good pro boxer. We've seen him have holes in his game. He lost to KSI. He's also never won a boxing match, and this is his opportunity to get his first win. And I think if Dillon Danis comes out and he's actually a decent boxer and manages to, you know, really be aggressive to Logan Paul, I think that's his best best chance. I think he's got to really make Logan uncomfortable because I don't think Logan has that fighting spirit, guys. I really hate to say it, but I don't think he does. He got scared off KSI. Against Floyd, he really didn't seem to try. He really seemed to just want to make the full distance, which, hey, you know, if that's what you're trying to do, I get it. You're trying to make a moment. It's your thing. Go do it. But you can't expect the praise after, right, in terms of boxing. And to me, more than anything, I think that just shows his lack of competitive spirit and his dog. The fact that he's okay with losing to Floyd Mayweather and holding on in there. I guess what I'm trying to say is if I were in there against Floyd Mayweather, although, yes, of course, I'm not trying to say I would win, I think you should try to at least make the most out of the opportunity. Try to upset the odds, especially if you're as big and athletic as Logan is, right? Like, we see someone like Deji in there actually go try to beat Floyd. Not that Deji has exactly competitive spirit either, but the fact that he's putting up more of a fight against Floyd Mayweather than you are is a bit crazy. Outside of the first round with Floyd, Logan really showed no will to win in there. And I guess what I'm trying to say, I think I'm explaining it terribly, and I might get some, you know, blowback for this, but, you know, Logan has the money, right? Logan doesn't need to box. Does he want to box? Because, listen, maybe not Dillon Danis, but I know if he fights maybe a Slim type of guy, another influencer that wants that clout, they're going to be hungrier than Logan Paul is. And can Logan Paul match that dog? I don't know, and we're gonna have to see. And I just think the big question mark is how good is Dillon Danis' boxing lately? We haven't really seen any clips of him. He's keeping a lot of things hidden. He's also a southpaw. I could see this being a little bit of a tricky matchup for Logan Paul. However, I think I am going to go with Logan Paul. Logan Paul just has been boxing a lot longer. His reflexes are really good, and especially his speed, his hand movement, and his jab. I think he's going to keep Dillon Danis at bay. I don't think he's going to knock out Dillon Danis. I think it'll probably go to a decision. Both guys haven't received so much damage throughout their career, so I don't think either guy is really going to have that big knockout ability. But I do think that Dillon Danis might impress people. I don't think this is going to be one of those things where Logan knocks him out in the first or second round. He doesn't have that power that KSI or Jake do, and he also doesn't have that aggression, which is his biggest problem. I guess I really shouldn't question his will to win, but rather his aggression. He's okay with jabbing off the back foot, even if it means he loses. I just think he's more comfortable that way. He's not the type of fighter to get uncomfortable. We haven't really seen that from him. And yeah, I think that Dillon Danis is going to want to make this a dogfight, especially in the clinch. I mean, he has tons of jiu-jitsu experience, kind of like how Nate Diaz did against Jake Paul, used the clinch work, and I think that could serve to a big advantage of him. Logan also has struggled with cardio in the past. Looked fine in the Floyd Mayweather fight. Looked fine in that second KSI fight, so I'm not so sure if that's a real cardio problem anymore. Plus, he's done a lot of cardio, I'm sure, for WWE. So I just think that we're going to see Logan win. I think he's probably going to win close to 6 rounds of that fight. I assume it's 6 rounds. And yeah, I just think we're going to see Logan Paul do really well. I'm not sure. Honestly, I would not be surprised to see if people don't like Logan Paul's performance afterwards. However, I think it is going to be one of those things that, you know, diehard boxing fans are like, hey, this was an actual good performance, and people that know what they're talking about are going to praise Logan and be like, oh, it's actually a pretty good performance. While, you know, probably the more influencer, non-boxing fan side, where they just like the influencers and the names, they're probably going to criticize the performance. That's just my prediction of what's going to happen. But yeah, guys, who really knows? We're going to have to find out October 14th. Thank you guys for watching. You guys are the best fan base in MMA. Let me know in the comment section below who you guys got, Dillon Danis or Logan Paul. Thank you guys for watching. You guys are the best fan base in MMA, and I'll see you guys in the next one.